So recently, an Elmo audio is trending. Various Elmo audios, but the one you probably know I'm going to be talking about is this one.
Right, because it's gross stuff, but it tastes good when it's put all together.
Okay, good. Onions, garlic,
Onions, garlic, celery, balsamic vinegar.
tomato paste.
That's a big word for Elmo.
So this audio has reached two communities on TikTok. The LGBTQ plus community / Caucasians, and specifically New Yorkers / Black community. People from New York hear the balsamic vinegar audio as a New York accent, specifically the Bronx or Brooklyn, which I also hear. It's a New York accent. It's just how he talks.
Right, because it's gross stuff, but it tastes good when it's put all together.
Okay, good. Onions, garlic,
Onions, garlic, celery, balsamic vinegar.
tomato paste.
That's a big word for Elmo.
However, those in the white or LGBTQ plus community hear it as Elmo being sassy, giving attitude, being flirty.
Right, because it's gross stuff, but it tastes good when it's put all together.
Okay, good. Onions, garlic,
Onions, garlic, celery, balsamic vinegar.
tomato paste.
That's a big word for Elmo.
Some say Elmo isn't being sassy, he's just speaking. And the fact that most are sexualizing him doesn't make sense. They're taking balsamic vinegar and making it more spicy than it actually is, saying Elmo went off when it's just his accent. How is Elmo sounding flirty? Remember, he's 3.5, he's a child. Why are you saying a child is sounding flirty? People are also using his audio for thirst trap videos.
Right, because it's gross stuff, but it tastes good when it's put all together.
Okay, good. Onions, garlic,
Onions, garlic, celery, balsamic vinegar.
tomato
That's a
paste.
big word for Elmo.
Garlic,
Onions, garlic, celery, balsamic vinegar.
tomato
That's a
paste.
big word for Elmo.
There's a reason people are hearing a New York accent, AAVE, or both. Let me explain. In linguistics, there's this idea of something being rhotic or non-rhotic. .co has a great article about this, and go read it because I don't have enough time. But with non-rhotic dialects and accents, you tend to drop the R. As it says here, it's most commonly done when it follows a vowel. So instead of balsamic vinegar, you get balsamic vinegar. However, a rhotic dialect or accent would keep the R and just say balsamic vinegar. Now, the New York accent is a non-rhotic accent. People from New York City will say things like mother, car, balsamic vinegar. But you know what else is non-rhotic? AAVE is a non-rhotic dialect. And that's why you're getting people saying things like, oh, that's a New York accent, or that's AAVE. Because they're hearing the drop of that R, balsamic vinegar.
So here's why the Elmo audios are so interesting to me. There are multiple sides of TikTok. Balsamic vinegar? Balsamic vinegar? So one of the most prolific voice actors, I guess puppeteers, for Elmo was Kevin Clash, who is a black man. And he put a lot of his own speech patterns into Elmo naturally. And so fellow African Americans and people of color can hear the AAVE in Elmo, and you can kind of hear it when he goes balsamic vinegar. But here's the most interesting part. Balsamic vinegar was by a white person. Ryan Dillon is the guy who came after Kevin Clash and is trying to approximate Kevin Clash's voice in Elmo a little bit. So here's where we get to the interesting part. Social media platforms like Twitter, and especially the Clock app, have been dealing a lot in digital blackface. And here's the thing. And a lot of the queer community has adopted AAVE in their speech patterns. Bear with me. A lot of queer community speech patterns come from black communities, especially black queer communities. But through the passage of time, nobody knows that kind of history. It's just adopted as sassy talk in a weird way. Speech patterns that were literally told, like discouraged for me to do, you know what I mean, of my own growing up. I was told I shouldn't talk like that to appear more professional because oftentimes black people told that's ghetto, you know what I mean? But white communities are celebrated for, not celebrated I guess, but don't have the same consequences that black communities do when talking like that. It's like, oh, they're sassy, that kind of thing. So when you transition all the way to TikTok, the queer community recognizes those little bits of AAVE and Elmo and read it as queer, because a lot of the queer community takes that language from black communities, black queer communities. You know what I'm saying? And so the people who, who think of it as flirty or anything like that, that's what they're picking up on this audio. And the TikTok algorithm knows us better than we know ourselves sometimes. But black people can hear the blackness within Elmo. And the algorithm serves you, your community. And that's weird to me. You know what I mean?
But what do you think? Is Elmo being sassy, flirty, or is it just who he is, his accent, a New Yorker?